Hey guys, it's Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. I am the owner and president of the Maxfield Report, and this is your video blog for the week ending May the 31st. Week started out with offer list appearing unchanged with the past couple 3 weeks. This in spite of the fact that there had been some 3-4 weeks of decent sales. Asking prices for the most part unchanged. There were some who might have lowered prices by $1 to bring their asking prices more in line with the actual traded levels. As far as interest this past week on big packer hides, it did start out a little bit slow. Middle of the week, things picked up. The thing that we found very interesting was there were buyers who were attempting to bid on a delivered basis at levels equal to or lower than the FOB asking prices. However, the one thing that did change, you did not see as many people countering those type of aggressive bids, and a lot of folks walking away from those bids saying that they were unworkable. So it looks like the momentum of the past few weeks has kind of buoyed those selling hides, and they're trying to maybe draw the proverbial line in the sand. As we told you last week, or excuse me, the week before, the decline in prices was as narrow as it had been in the last, say, 2-3 months. And actually, we're going to say last week that prices were very soft, steady. There were some, isolated incidents where hides traded at slightly lower levels, but for the most part, I think the hides that sold last week were very close to the last traded levels. Not quite sure we sold a week's worth of hides, but probably going to end up being a decent week of sales. Again, it's one of those, it's a little tough to read because there was buyers and sellers were struggling to get on the same page as far as prices, and buyers not willing to step up and to pay what the sellers were asking. So we're going to have to see how that plays out this week. On the cow hides, same situation, offer list unchanged for the most part. We were hearing rumors as we started last week that there was a couple very large, well-known tanners who had bought a lot of cows. Guys were telling me that they're now sold through the month of June with the business that was done. Of course, in order to get that position, they traded at lower levels, but that allowed them last week to do the same as the big packers. They kind of drew a line in the sand as far as prices. The number of bids start the week a little slow, picked up, momentum picked up as far as bids the middle of the week, second half of the week. Again, buyers trying to bid it down, and it looks like producers tried to draw the line in the sand. So, getting there on the cows, it looks like, these guys are tired of taking lower money. They dug their heels in and they didn't budge. As far as the harvest last week, a little bit surprised. I thought it'd be just a little touch stronger, but 582, that's not bad. Remember, we had a holiday at the beginning of the week. 641 the week prior, 585 a year ago. We're still up 1% over a year ago, and we're still of the mindset that we're going to see something. We told you at the very beginning of the year, 1.5% higher, and, we're still on track for that. But, as we had said in earlier video blogs, that we wouldn't be surprised if we even saw it go north of 1.5% by the time's all said and done. Packers still making lots of money, still enough cattle out there to get those higher numbers. The export report was exceeded the expectation of even the most bullish of people. The wet salted sales at 5.6, we'll call it 563. Shipments were 469. We weren't aware of anybody who was talking about such large numbers. The big shocker, though, was the wet blue sales coming in at 310,000. That is a marketing year high. Exports at 158. So a very bullish export report that marks 4 weeks in a row. It'll be interesting to see this Thursday, but it definitely appears as if there's been some momentum building as far as sales in the States. Easy to believe that some of these tanners are looking at, hey, these are some of the best hides of the year, lowest prices we've seen in many people's careers, so why not load up on a few hides? That's kind of what I'm thinking. There's also maybe some chatter that, as we talked in previous blogs, that leather and hide prices have gotten so low, margins are good for the brands, and they're maybe going to slide some more leather into some of their orders for the second half of this year. Let's keep our fingers crossed on that one. So, taking a quick trip around the globe, reports from our friends in Europe, they're still talking about pressure over there, but again, their market, as I've mentioned before, usually lags ours by 4 to 6 weeks. They're still trying to obtain levels well above where we've sold at. They're going to have to be, resign themselves to the fact they're going to have to take less money to get hides sold. They also need to liquidate some unsold inventory sitting around warehouses, especially with summer vacations coming up now in less than a month. So, sad story. It just is, they're just going to have to liquidate and in order to get out in front of this thing. Going down to Brazil, we haven't seen any change down there. Packers continue to struggle to liquidate their weekly production of fresh hides. As we've told you before, many of them are pulling out the undesirables, hides that would grade as a machine damage number 3 or any kind of a defect they can see. They're taking that out in order to keep things moving. Reports are that if a tanner is willing to take a straight run of hides, to include these hides we just mentioned, that they could probably pay less than half of what's being paid, maybe even more than 50% less. So still a trouble down there. Wet blue, I know a lot of folks would want to tell you they're selling at 50 cents. I think that's very few and far between, just some isolated business for some of the best. I think the majority of the hides are trading around that, underneath that 50 cent level. And if you can take any kind of lower grade, such as a TR3, 4, or 5, which are now at levels that it isn't, the prices are not bringing in the cost to blue the hides, I think that you could almost write your number down and probably be successful. Reports out of Australia, unchanged. Harvest levels stable. A lot of folks with hides for sale, especially lower quality hides. Prices remain under pressure. In sellers struggling to sell. So it's kind of the same message. Again, we've got a situation in the States that looks like guys are trying to draw a line in the sand. Hopefully the rest of the markets around the world can soon follow suit. We could maybe see some stabilization in this market, which wouldn't be a bad thing. Looking ahead to next week, we wouldn't be shocked if offer lists in the States were in a little bit shorter than they have been. That's not bad news, because then that might allow those looking for hides to look at other origins that are not sold as far forward. Maybe, a slow process of cleaning this market up. We establish a bottom of the market. And again, we're slightly encouraged by what we're seeing. We're by no means talking about a market going higher, but it's certainly seeming as, at least our antennas are up and starting to twitch a little bit, noticing that maybe we've got a little bit better demand going out there. So that's it for this week. Ken Maxfield, your hide guy. Check out my website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. I offer free 14-day trials. Until next week, we'll talk to you then. Thanks.